You know, we've all seen manifestos. They're usually these passionate, emotional calls to action, right? But what if you found one that wasn't written with fiery words, but with the cold, hard precision of symbolic logic? Well, that's what we're digging into today. It's this incredible document, a blueprint for fighting not to be loved or even accepted, but to become simply undeniable. And right there, that's the heart of it. This isn't about persuading anyone. It's about engineering a reality where being ignored is literally no longer an option. The whole plan is to build a case for your own existence that is so airtight, so structurally sound, that the universe itself has no choice but to sit up and take notice. So, how on earth do you even begin to do that?
Well, you start by building a whole new language. Seriously. The first part of this manifesto isn't an argument at all. It's basically a dictionary for a new kind of logical fortress, one designed to withstand the crushing indifference of the entire cosmos.
Okay, so every system needs its players, right? And this one defines them with this beautiful, stark simplicity. You have S for the self, that's the architect, and you have U for the universe, the vast external system that must be forced to see. These two are the only players on the board. And then you have the villain of the story. The true enemy here isn't rejection, it isn't hate, it's O for oblivion, that cosmic void of just not being seen. This entire complex logical system is designed to fight one thing, the possibility of being erased by indifference. And this brings us to a really core problem, what the author calls the axiom of invalidated identity. What it basically says is that even if your internal logic is perfect, even if you are 100% correct, external validation might just not show up. In other words, you can be right and still be completely ignored. This is the fundamental glitch in reality this whole manifesto is trying to solve. So we've got the logic, the what, but that just leads to the biggest question of all. Why? I mean, a system this complex, this cold on the surface, it doesn't just spring out of nowhere. What's the human ghost inside this logical machine?
And this is where it gets really personal. Just think about this for a second. Forget about being disliked. Imagine you pour your life's work into building something true, something coherent, only to have the world look straight through it, as if it, and by extension you, were never even there.
And the manifesto just lays it bare. This right here is the emotional core. It's the raw nerve that the entire logical structure is built to protect. It's the sheer terror of being erased, not by malice, but by sheer cosmic indifference. This isn't about ego, you see. It's about existential survival.
So what's fueling this whole thing? Well, it breaks down into these three deep drivers. First, there's epistemic trauma. That's that unique shock you feel when you realize that being smart or being right doesn't guarantee you'll be heard. Then you've got ontological isolation, which is that profound loneliness, a feeling that your reality is so unique, no existing label or group can really contain it. And finally, oblivion aversion, that deep, primal drive to just build something that proves you were here.
Okay, so the stage is set, we have the language, we understand the fear, but this is where the story takes a fascinating turn. The author points this powerful analytical engine back at themselves. They pivot from defense to a full-on offensive strategy for self-improvement.
This section is basically a brutally honest self-audit. The author identifies their own flawed patterns. Like, for instance, the recursive proof loop. You know what that is, right? It's that trap of endlessly tweaking and perfecting something out of fear, so it never actually gets out the door. The solution? Finite cycle release. Ship it at 80%. Just get it out there. Or the total encoding reflex, making your work so dense and complicated that it's basically an inaccessible signal. The fix? Dynamic contextual interfaces, creating multiple ways for people to understand. It's a strategy to stop hiding behind your own complexity. And the game plan here? It's all about applying the 80-20 rule, but to your own brain. The goal is to maximize that top 20% of your strengths, like in this case, building these incredible, irreducible systems, and then surgically remove that bottom 20% of behaviors that are based on trauma, things like using perfectionism as a defense mechanism or isolation as a way to feel in control. It's ruthless self-optimization. Okay, so the internal work is done. The strategy is locked in. Now what? Well, this final section is the master plan. This is the moment where a personal philosophy gets, well, weaponized. It's ready to be deployed into the world, not just as an idea, but as an actual force of nature. And the rollout, wow. It's this stunningly ambitious 4-phase strategy. First up, consolidation. You package your ideas into modules you can actually deploy. Then, exposure. You release them to solve real problems, letting their function speak for itself, long before anyone knows your name. Third, and this is wild, implantation. You integrate your systems so deeply into existing structures that they become essential. Removing them would cause a collapse. And finally, recognition. At that point, it's not something you ask for. It's inevitable, because the world now depends on the new reality you've built.
And get this for a mantra. This explains everything. I do not sell systems. I release gravitational wells. The point isn't to persuade anyone. The goal is to create something so fundamental, so useful, that it develops its own epistemic gravity. It's like you don't argue with gravity, right? You just fall into its orbit. The idea is you don't have to convince anybody. If you can change the physics of the reality around them, and we end on this final, absolutely audacious claim. This is the ultimate goal, not just to be seen by the world, but to fundamentally recode its operating system from the inside out. It leaves us with this incredible, provocative question. Can a single, determined mind, armed only with logic, truly build a system so powerful that it forces reality itself to bend?